the mountains, expanding east throughout the evening and overnight periods. Widespread snowfall is forecast with this event, and locally significant snowfall amounts are expected. In addition to snowfall, dangerously cold temperatures and strong wind gusts are forecast through the weekend. These strong wind gusts will bring below zero wind chills across the state and the possibility of coastal flooding. Cold temperatures will linger into early next week, prolonging snowfall impacts. A winter storm warning will go into effect statewide late this afternoon across the mountains and Piedmont, and overnight Friday into Saturday across the coastal plain. Widespread snowfall amounts between 3 to 8 inches are forecast across the state, especially across the coastal plain where the greatest snowfall amounts are most likely. Significant snowfall amounts of 8 to 12 inches are likely across portions of the state, but are dependent on where the heaviest snowfall bands develop. A cold weather advisory will go into effect overnight Friday through overnight Saturday across the eastern half of the state, where near zero wind chills are forecast. An extreme cold watch will go into effect for portions of the mountains from Saturday afternoon until Sunday afternoon, in the Piedmont from Saturday evening through Sunday morning, and in the coastal plain from late Saturday night through Monday morning. Wind chills are forecast to be as low as 22 degrees below zero across the mountains, 5 to 10 degrees below zero for the Piedmont, and 5 degrees below zero for the coastal plain. A high wind warning and wind advisory will be in effect Saturday afternoon and evening across much of the coast. Wind gusts within the high wind warning area are forecast to be up to 55 to 70 miles per hour, and wind gusts within the wind advisory area are forecast to be up to 45 miles per hour. All North Carolinians should be finalizing plans now and should be prepared to stay home and off the roadways starting tonight through early next week. If you need information to assist in your preparation, please visit readync.gov. The State Emergency Response Team, including all interagency partners, private sector, nonprofit, and volunteer agencies, remain activated. There are 4 local states of emergencies and 21 local emergency operations centers activated or in monitoring status. We continue to support commodity distribution, and as of this morning, the State Emergency Response Team has distributed approximately 550 blankets to assist communities with shelter and warming center operations should they be required. This is in addition to the approximately 1,700 cots and blankets and 127 pallets of meals ready to eat, or MREs, and drinking water that were shipped last weekend to supplement local supply. Many communities across the state are opening or staging for shelter locations or warming stations. For the most up-to-date information on those resources available in your community, please visit your local government and local emergency management agency's website and social media accounts. The North Carolina National Guard, the entirety of the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, the North Carolina Forest Service, and the Office of Emergency Medical Services, among others, are all active and moving on to station today across the state to assist local communities and state partners with clearing roadways, responding to emergencies, and with transportation needs. 73 North Carolina National Guard force packages will be on station by tonight and will be assisting with clearing roadways from downed trees, helping disabled motorists, supplementing first responders, and assisting with commodity distribution. These force packages include approximately 341 soldiers and 131 vehicles. While this is not forecast to be an ice event like last weekend, posing a widespread threat to our utility partners, we remain in close coordination with our energy sector organizations who are represented here at the State Emergency Operations Center, and will be closely monitoring power outage information to quickly assist in restoring power in communities that do see outages. Communications personnel and equipment have been pre-deployed to assist with any degradation of 911 systems, radio systems, and phone systems, and as a reminder, 911 should be used for emergencies only. For general information, please call 211 or follow your local government and emergency management websites and social media accounts. Finally, as I continue to say, please check on your friends, your family members, your neighbors, or those in your community who may need additional support this weekend. We are going to see significant winter storm impacts this weekend, and we are stronger and more resilient together. Thank you, Governor, and I'll now turn it over to Secretary Johnson from NCDOT.
Thank you, Governor and Director Ray. NCDOT crews have been operating in overdrive since we started preparing for last week's storm, and we're not letting our foot off the gas. Though we are still clearing areas of the state that have experienced particularly cold temperatures and hardened ice on the roads, since last weekend's storm, our resources we've largely shifted our resources to preparing for the ice storm approaching, the snowstorm approaching this weekend. We're closely watching this storm. The latest forecast shows that this storm will have statewide impacts on the transportation system and carries the potential for severe impacts on a significant portion of that system. As we did last week, we're encouraging people to stay off the roads as much as possible the next few days. We appreciate everyone's cooperation in limiting travel over the past week. Because North Carolinians heeded the warnings last weekend, we had 0 traffic fatalities related to the storm, and for that, we were very grateful. By staying off the roads, you help keep yourself and your family safe and give our crews the space they need to do their important work. Speaking of that work, I want to take a moment to recognize the thousands of DOT employees and contractors who have put in a major effort over the last 10 days. I'm thankful for all their work and for all the work they'll do over the next several days to help us recover. Over the past 36 hours or so, these crews have put out an additional 1.4 million gallons of brine to pre-treat our roads, which will help keep more ice from forming on the pavement. Once it's safe to do so, our crews will be running plows to remove snow from the roads and to spread sand and salt to help with traction. Rest assured, we'll be working hard to clear the roads as quickly as possible. We ask for your patience as we work through the recovery, especially with more cold temperatures to come in the days ahead. As I mentioned, this storm will impact the entire state, but one area we're watching particularly closely is the Outer Banks and other areas along the coast. As Director Ray and the Governor have shared, in addition to the snow, this storm brings the potential for high winds across the state, and in particular along the coast. One thing we're watching closely is the potential for overwash, particularly in the Outer Banks. This could present dangerous and potentially impassable conditions for driving along the coast. Our crews are ready to respond and will restore the roadway as quickly as possible. And as we did last week, we're working with the State Highway Patrol to remove disabled vehicles from the roadway. This helps keep the roads and shoulders safe for our crews and others involved in emergency response in the days ahead. We'll continue working with our partners, the Highway Patrol and the National Guard, throughout the storm. Please stay informed and, if possible, stay put throughout the duration of this storm until it's deemed safe to travel. People can visit drivenc.gov to view the latest road conditions and other storm-related information. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to the Governor for any questions.
Secretary, thank you so much. If there are any questions in the room, please go to the microphones on either side, and then we will go to questions online afterward.
Hey, Adam Wagner from WNC. One of the concerns with overwash, obviously some of the houses on the Outer Banks that are sort of teetering right now. I know that folks in Buxton, maybe Rodanthe, have been asking you for a localized state of emergency for a little while. Mm-hmm. Could this necessitate that, and sort of how could this weather make cleaning up those houses more difficult if they fall in?
Yeah, the statewide emergency applies to the entirety of the state, including the Outer Banks and Buxton. Unfortunately, the declaration doesn't trigger any special assistance that's really relevant to them. What it does is enable us to move resources to help respond to emergencies. There is legislation in Congress sponsored by Congressman Murphy, which both Commissioner of Insurance Mike Causey and I have supported and have written to Congress in that support, which would enable the flood program, the National Flood Insurance Program, to actually buy out homes before they tumble into the ocean. Then it creates an environmental mess, much smarter for us to try to remove those homes that are at risk of falling into the ocean before it does so.
And then yesterday you heard from workers who worked last week 99 hours, 101 hours. Do you have any estimates on the total cost of last week's storm to the state? Any kind of predictions for what this one could cost?
I don't have a total cost. I don't know, Will, if you do. I think it's too early at this point. Clearly, DOT has experienced a great deal of overtime. State Highway Patrol has incurred a great deal of overtime. The National Guard incurs expenses every time it gets deployed. And so, yes, there are real costs to the state. We have an emergency fund that the General Assembly appropriates money into that we can draw down for these kinds of operations. But there is a cost, and as it becomes clear, we're happy to share it with you.
Hi, Governor. Christine Zhu with NC Newsline. What preparations are being made in regards to the power grid and any potential outages?
We are in constant contact with our energy partners, whether that's Duke Energy, the electric co-ops, the electricities, and they're here. We know where their greatest worries are. Fortunately, with this storm, that is less of a concern than last week, because last week's was an ice storm. This is a snowstorm. Ice is much heavier than snow, so it's more likely to create limb breakages or trees toppling over. It's more likely to weight the lines and break those. So with snow, we don't think there will be as many power outages. And fortunately, we didn't experience too many last year. I think the peak was maybe 25,000 loss of power at any one time. So that's not to say that there will not be power outages. If the snowfall comes in at the high end and communities experience 15 inches of snow, that's a lot of weight, and that will knock over trees and that will knock over power lines. It's just they call this a banded storm, where the snow is going to come in bands. It's not going to be uniform across an entire county. You may have one town in the county that has 12, 15 inches if it's heavy, and another may have 6 or 7 or 8. And so it will be localized. I know that our utility partners are ready to go.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take questions online if there are any. Please identify yourself before you ask a question.
Raise your hand function and they'll see you.
Felicia Somez, please ask your question.
Hi, well, thank you so much again for taking our questions. Just wondering for listeners out here in the West, if there's anything in particular that folks should be aware of, or any particular precautions that they should take ahead of this storm. Thank you so much.
Yes, the snow intensity, it's going to be significant, but not as much as the Far East, which is a little bit upside down from what we're used to. Where we will see real issues in Far West is temperatures. The temperature is going to be bitterly cold. Wind chill, maybe minus 20 degrees. Obviously, the risks of frostbite and hypothermia become very elevated when you have temperatures that low. So folks just need to not be outside if they possibly can. And if they are outside, make sure that you are well dressed, wearing lots of leathers and covering all exposed skin. If you have to drive and there is snow, make sure that you have a safety package in the car with you, because if you run off the road in temperatures like that, it can be very dangerous. Question?
There are no more questions online.
Very good. Thank you all very much.